Happy Saturday, everyone, and happy birthday, Jordan! I hope you have a fantastic day today. We are going to do a quick little chipper for you. It's going to be a fun one, and I hope you enjoy. But before we get to the chipper, let's talk about the warm-up. The warm-up will consist of a sumo good morning for 5, half raise of 30 seconds, single leg good morning with rotation for 3 to 5 a side, and a sumo squat for 3 to 5. So we're really focusing on opening up those hips a bit and waking up that lower half of the body. We'll hit that for 2 rounds, take your time, slow, and then move into the bottom piece where we're going to work on some skills and some core work. Goblet Squat, 3 to 5 reps, 3-1-3 tempo, slow tempo, working on skill there. Jump drops for 3 to 5 reps, plus the jump drop with rebound for 20 seconds. Remembering we're not doing these reps fast, I'll kind of show you the tempo that we want to look at in the 20 seconds when we demo the movement. After that, we're going to lay down with a weighted Deadbug for 10 reps, alternating with a 1 to 2 second pause per rep. And then you're going to do that for 2 to 3 rounds, just getting things kind of fired up and then having some fun with it. Afterwards, we're going to play with a practice round just to get ourselves fired up, get the heart rate up, get ourselves moving with the flow of the workout. It's very straightforward. We got a little chipper for you, which consists of 50 box jumps, 60 dumbbell squats of your choice, and 50 V-ups. So we're going to have a fun time. We got a little bit of interference from yesterday's strength work, moving into today's with the squat. So I'm looking forward to seeing this one, how it goes. I hope you guys have fun with it, everyone. Let's get you warmed up. Let's get you ready. We'll get our feet under the hips. We'll take the arms big and tall up overhead. We're just going to shrug here, reaching those arms up to the sky. We'll pull the shoulders down and reach to one side. And then we'll come back through and reach to the other side. Come back up, and then we'll scratch our back and reach to one side. And come back up, big stretch. And scratch your back and reach to the other side. Oh yeah. Big stretch up overhead. We'll forward fold, touching those toes. We're going to walk those shins. We'll come down and frame a foot. We'll step back into our lizard. Nice and square here in these hips. We're going to lower the back knee, press the hip, come through, straighten the leg, and straighten the front leg. Plant the foot, lower, press the hip, come back to center, straighten, and straighten. One more time, we'll lower down, press the hip, come back to center, straighten, and straighten. Plant the foot, step back into that down dog, reaching those hips, setting the shoulders. We're going to walk those heels out, nice and slow. Just feeling out those ankles a bit today again. And then we're going to come back into our plank, stepping that other foot up. Nice and square in those hips. We're going to lower the knee, press the hip gently, come back through, straighten and straighten. We'll plant the foot, lower, press the hip, come back to center, straighten and straighten. Last one, lower, press the hip, back through, straighten and straighten. Plant the foot, step back into that down dog, reaching those hips nice and tall. We're going to walk those heels out, nice and steady. Just enjoying that nice little stretch through the calf. That nice opening of the foot. Then we'll come back into our plank, stepping those feet up, nice tiptoe. Roll ourselves up, big stretch. Reach to one side, reach to the other side. We'll come back down. Woo. Let's get you fired up. All right, if you'd like to do some more gentle warm-up, please pause the video. Take that down, anything you want, some upper body, lower body. Give your body what it needs for today. We're going to continue on with that kind of lower half focus to get our legs and hips open. All right, our first movement today is our Sumo Good Morning. So our Sumo Good Morning is going to take place in this nice sumo stance. And we're going to work by starting to fire up those hamstrings with a little hinge. So you can use your hands at the low rib and the chest as a reference to make sure we're not breaking or separating as we hinge. But we can squeeze the glutes, and we want to think about being one solid piece from hip crease to top of head. So getting set, we're going to pull the hips back into that nice hinge. And then from here, we're going to stand nice and tall. And then again, pulling back into that hip hinge, and then standing tall. Good. So in this hinge, we're drawing the hips back. keeping the knees soft, but the drawing of the hips back is what allows and takes our body forward. So that's what allows the body to hinge and move. So we want to feel those hamstrings kick on, say hello, but most of all, focus on those hips drawing back, all right? Don't worry about touching your chest or your thigh. Just take it to about 90 or even a 45 degree and make sure we're maintaining the focus on the hamstrings. Our next exercise is just, again, firing up those calves. We're going to work on those calf raises and take some time to thank our feet for all they do. So our toes are going to be pointing straight ahead. You can load this by holding the dumbbell to the front or to the suitcase. But we're going to keep our glutes tight, our ribs in, and we're going to focus on that good balance. So we're going to push onto the big toe and pinky toe, and then lower. And you don't have to pause at the top. I'm just showing you that pause to kind of show that control at the top. It's always nice to kind of keep a little bit of control there so you're not just popping away. So a little pause, control down, a little pause, control down. And just keep moving for 30 seconds. Loading this is not necessary, but just kind of play around with this and kind of challenge yourself. Another nice way to do this, since you're at home, is to do this one barefoot. So doing this barefoot can really give you some insight into your foot, and you can really feel a different kind of feel to this exercise as we strengthen up the foot. After that, we're going to continue on with some single leg work. We're going to work on our single leg good morning with rotation. So my feet are about hip width apart. My one foot comes in front, toe up, heel on the floor. I'm going to squeeze my glutes. I pull my hips back into this nice good morning, and then I'm going to rotate towards the lead leg. And then I stand up nice and tall. So I reset, squeeze my glutes, pull into that good morning, and rotate once I feel that kind of sensation through the hamstring. From profile, it looks like so. I squeeze, I pull back square, rotate towards that lead leg, and come back up. I don't need to worry if you can't touch the lead leg, all right? Just take it to that rotation that feels comfortable. There will be some limitations there depending on how tight you are in the hamstring and or how tight you are in that T-spine. So listen to your body, give yourself that sensation you need. In regards to the hamstring and the glute, we want to feel this sensation more upper hamstring, lower glute, not in the calf or in the lower leg. So if you're feeling it in the lower leg, we want to really think about squeezing our glutes and engaging at the top, and that should help isolate the area in that upper hamstring. Our last exercise in this sequence is our sumo squats. We're going to go a little wider with those feet, and the sumo stance is quite wide, but not so wide that the knees collapse inwards regardless of how hard we push out. We still want those knees tracking the toes. So what I mean by that is standing tall, I take my hips to my heels, I'm pushing my knees out a little bit more than normal, but my knees are still tracking my toe angle. So we want to make sure that that's our primary focus when we're doing this movement set. So I draw my hips to my heels, I keep my chest up, my knees are pushing out, my chest stays tall, and I move through that nice, smooth sumo squat. There's no tempo on these. I do like to do them a little slower so I can really feel those hips and those ankles kind of open up, but it's up to you. We just don't want to drop them super fast because you are in that wider stance, and we want to make sure we're keeping those legs safe. Quick recall, we have a sumo good morning for 5, calf raise for 30 seconds, holding a load, not holding a load, whatever you want. Single leg good morning with rotation, 3 to 5 per side, and a sumo squat for 3 to 5. If you want to add in a tempo, please be my guest. 2 rounds of that, we're going to use that to open up the body and get things feeling pretty good. Then we're going to move into the next phase, which is going to involve a little bit of jumping skill work. So pause the video, take down that top piece, get yourself fired up and ready to go. We're going to get a little bit more dynamic coming up. We just finished a set of sumo squats. Now we're going to load this next set with a nice, smooth goblet squat. So our feet are going to come into our nice, normal, regular squat stance. We're going to push into the dumbbell a little bit, and we're going to take the hips again to the heels. My knees are tracking my toes, and we don't want to push them out as much as we were focusing on in the sumo squat, but we do want to make sure we're pushing them out a little bit to get that nice alignment through the knee and the toe. So from the side, I squeeze my glutes, I take my hips to the heels, upright, and then I'm going to stand nice and tall through that movement set. So working on good smooth squat mechanics, making sure our body position is our primary focus and staying as vertical as we can. Our next movement we're going to play with is a little bit of jumping work. And we're going to use this as a nice skill set because we're going to use it to learn how to land our jumps. So what we're going to do is a jump drop. So from here, my feet are kind of under my hips or just outside. I'm going to rise up onto my toes, reaching my arms up nice and high. And then whenever I hear myself or me in your mind say, go, you're going to drop and you're going to land in a good position that you'd want to land on a box jump, broad jump, vertical jump, all that good stuff. So it looks like so at speed. I reach up, I feel control, and I drop. I'm not trying to drop into a squat, but I'm dropping into this power position. So again, from the side, I reach, and I land in this power position. So my weight is kind of through my midfoot, I'm landing square, my knees are out, and then I'm ready to go. I'm pulling my hands back because what's coming up next is going to be a rebound, which is going to move into a jump from that drop. So we're going to work on 3 to 5 of those drops as an individual movement as its own. Then you're going to set a clock timer for 20 seconds, and you're going to practice the drop or the jump drop with rebound. And what that looks like from the side, so you can see my hips, is up onto the toes, we drop, jump, and then land with that soft kind of absorption of the impact. We're not trying to jump as high as we can, all right? We're trying to jump in that rebound sense. So as soon as our feet land in that comfortable drop position, we're returning the energy and going back up, landing soft and absorbing that impact. So again, I come up, I drop, jump, stand tall, get ready to go, up, drop, jump, land, and stand. So that's about the pacing you'd want to do over the course of that 20 seconds. We're not trying to get them done as fast as we can or get a ton of reps in. As we land, we stand, reset, move into the next rep, and do it again. So we still want to use that 20 seconds as a chance to work skill, not just crank out reps. I'm a little out of breath after those couple reps, so I'm going to tell you right now, it does get you really quick, but I hope you guys have fun with those because I really like that drill. It's really neat and allows you to practice a lot of different aspects of jumping. After that, though, we get to lay down. So we get to lay down on our back with our dumbbell. We're going to do a weighted dead bug. So what we have for you guys with this weighted dead bug is we're going to get ourselves set up with the dumbbell over the chest. From here, we're going to push the dumbbell up to the ceiling, pull our ribs in so our low back is in contact, and then we're going to lift our feet up to that 90 degree. Now with the dumbbell positioning, we can choose to keep it here above the chest, or we could choose to go slightly back as we have that engagement through the lats and the pec. So we have that engagement here, we lift those legs up, and then we're just going to work on extending and pulling back in. Extending and pulling back in. Another variation of this that you can play with is keeping the knee bent. So we press up into the dumbbell, keeping it here, or slightly back on the shoulder. Legs are at 90, and we can work on lowering, keeping that knee bent, and working on pulling those ribs in, and keeping that body nice and stable through that neutral pelvis. So we want to make sure we keep that low back in contact the entire time with that dead bug position. If we feel that leg extending and that body wanting to come off the floor, we don't want to extend anymore. We want to come back in and giving yourself a little pause of 1 to 2 seconds on either end of the movement. So not just when we extend, but when we come back in, give yourself a little beat, other side. A little beat, other side. And take it down that way. It's a nice way to work control. It's a really good core engagement. Quick recap we have for you guys. We have a goblet squat for 3 to 5 reps at a 3-1-3 tempo. Jump drop for 3 to 5 reps individual. Then we move into a jump drop with rebound of 20 seconds, and then a weighted dead bug for 10 alternating reps at a 1 to 2 second hold. 2 to 3 rounds there, take that down, practice, work that skill, and then we're gonna move into our movements of the day and work on a practice round, which I'll have at the bottom of the workout description. So check that out, pick and choose what you wanna play with for your practice round, and we're gonna use that to kind of get ourselves ready to go. Okay, we're here, the movements of the day. We have a box jump, we have a dumbbell squat, and a V-up. So we have some different options for you guys. I have a box here waiting for me for this one. But what we have for you guys we can play around with is a box jump if we are comfortable with something at home that we can jump on, or it's stable, whatever we need to do. So the box jump, working through that idea of that jump drop, all right, what we're gonna work on is pulling back with those hips, driving up into the box, and then landing in that kind of similar position. So we get a nice smooth jump, absorb, stand, and step down. We reset, work on that nice explosive aspect of our movement, and then we stand tall, step down. Stepping down allows that Achilles, those knees, those joints to have a little bit nicer kind of focus on the way down, working on that explosiveness on the way up, and then just easing yourself down to the floor afterwards. If you don't have anything at home that you're comfortable jumping on, but you have something you're comfortable stepping on, you can work on a step up. So you work on that nice, smooth step up, taking that leg through full range of motion, pressing through that body, and opening those hips and knees at the top of the step. Another option too is that lateral step over. So we put our foot up on the box, we get set, knees over the heel, we push, and we step over, and we work on that little dynamic hop over. Remembering, we do not need to take our leg off of the box. We can keep it up there for safety purposes, because again, we don't need to take it off in that movement just for, again, the kind of lessening the chance of tripping on the box. We just want to keep that foot up there. It also allows us to work on a little bit of ankle flexibility and mobility. Now, if we don't have a box that we're comfortable jumping on, we have a few really cool options that I'll put on the bottom of the workout description. One of which, though, is that kind of jump drop with rebound, but it's more of just a jumping situation. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna swing coming into that mid position and then jump and then rebound and work on that nice smooth jump. So I'll show you what about 3 reps look like. Again, I'm not trying to jump super, super high. I'm just trying to get the flow of the movement. So I swing up, swing up, swing up. Work on absorbing and then returning back into that jump. So that's variation number 1. We can also work on a broad jump. So we get that same swing, that closing of the hip, and then that jump horizontally, covering some distance. These don't have to be max effort jumps, but I do want you to kind of push the distance that you can jump to with control, so you can stick the landing and control. So a couple cool options. I'll have a few other ones there for you guys as well if you want to check those out. But check out those box jump options, put them in the practice round for a couple reps, and then rock them. After that, we have our dumbbell squat. We have 2 variations. We can work on our goblet squat that we worked on in our warm-up. All right, so if you want any kind of cues and points of performance for that, check that back, scroll back and check them out. Or we can work on a front squat. So the front squat and the goblet squat are very similar, except the dumbbell in the front squat is resting on the shoulder in the front round. I'm going to still set my glutes in my stance, pull my hips down to my heels, keeping my knees tracking the toes, and keeping that body upright. So it's the same squat mechanics, it's just a slightly different position for my dumbbell. If you'd like to use 2, you can use 2. You can play around with that all you like, have some fun, pick the squat option that suits you best, and if you're feeling a little beat up in the legs, which is fair, we've had a big week this week, you can also do that air squat as well. From there, we get to lay down and we're going to work on our V-up. So we got a few options for the V-up. So first things first, we have a full V-up, double leg, and a single leg variation with the straight leg. So we come back, we get that good snap, we come back down. We also have a single leg working on meeting the body in the middle position. So my leg doesn't kind of come beyond my hip, and my torso doesn't come all the way up either. It kind of stops at the hip and they meet in the middle. Now, if the straight leg variation is a little too much, we have a tuck variation as well. So we come back, tuck up, we come back down. We also have that single leg tuck with the same rule as the V-up, where we meet in the middle, so the chest and the thigh are joining in the center to meet in the middle to complete that rep. Now, if you're looking at that going, oh, I like that contraction through the core, except it's a lot of hinging. It is a fair amount of hinging. So if you're like, I kind of want to get that little pulse, what you can work on is that hollow up. So we can work on pulling the ribs and hips in, get that little hollow, leading with the chest. We can do a single leg, alternating, or we can do double. But our primary focus is getting that low back into the floor, pulling those ribs and hips in together, and closing the distance between our sternum and our belly button. Now we have two options if we struggle with the upper half of the body. So if the legs are free and they're coming up and they're doing most of the work, and our upper body isn't coming off the ground very much, we have these two options that are really nice at isolating the upper body. The first one, personal preference, I love this one, especially if you don't mind going a little slower. Our legs reaching up to the sky, my hands reaching towards my toes. I'm going to pull my ribs and hips in, reaching for my shoelaces and or my toes. So I'm trying to squeeze and lower. This is a non-momentum using exercise. So we want to make sure that we're focusing on a good contraction and leading with the chest. We're not trying to pull ourselves up with our head. The head is moving with the torso as we contract our midsection to get our body moving. So those laying toe touches are beautiful. Remember, no momentum. Our next exercise, the Pike Sit Up, has momentum. And we're going to keep our legs nice and straight. Our arms will touch above. I'm going to sit up, and I'm going to try and touch my toes. Or I'm going to touch as far down my shin as I can, noticing that perhaps as I continue to warm up and open up that range in my hamstrings, I may end up able to get a little further and further and further down my legs, perhaps touching my toes by the end of the 50 set. So really cool stuff there. Experiment. Don't just get stuck in playing with the same variation every time. Play with a bunch of different ones, all right? Not necessarily in this work set, but say, you know what, I always do pike sit-ups when I do V-ups. I'm gonna change it up today. Maybe I'm gonna work on the hollow up, to work on a little smoother, faster kind of contraction, because it's a slightly different feel. All those options have a purpose to build that core strength and that full movement. They're just a little different. So there's nothing wrong with experimenting from one to one. Neither is better nor worse. They're just a little different. So experiment, have some fun. And even practice them in the warm-up round, and then see where it takes you and see which one you like for the day, because it might change day to day. So again, our work set, nice little chipper, 50 box jumps or box jump variation, 60 dumbbell squats or air squats, and 50 V-ups of one of those variations, then you're done. So 50, 60, 50, boop, done. Happy birthday, Jordan. You can celebrate when you finish that last V-up and go, happy birthday! And everyone will be in your house will be like, what? What's going on? It's like, I hope you enjoy, all right? Celebrate, have a great weekend, you guys. Jordan, I hope this adds some extra specialness to your birthday. For everyone, have fun, work for quality. We'll see you on Monday for another week of cool little program. All right, bye, you guys.